What's a sound everyone should recognize as immediate danger? Silence. Applicable everywhere. It is the universal, lack of, sound that should tell you something is off. In the shop, it's when someone says something quietly that would normally be said loudly. Some of the most gruesome injuries I've ever seen were only announced by a quiet, "Oh fuck," never screaming. When I was in a machine shop, you'd hear people yelling fuck and shit all the time. Nobody paid it any mind. When someone said, "Uh-oh," that's when you needed to see what was happening. The sound of a freight train or jet engine nearby. If you're in the middle of nowhere like deep in the forest, you're likely hearing either a tornado or a wildfire. Both create large-scale high-speed airflow. When this air flows through the trees, it generates a lot of turbulence which sounds like a deep roaring sound that can be heard from a mile or more away. It's pretty easy to identify them by looking up. Fire alarm. You would be surprised how many people don't do anything when it goes off. I did a fire safety course which first showed videos of how fast fire can spread and become deadly. Bradford City Stadium fire in full is a horrifying watch. Then showed various videos of people who'd been involved with tests studying human behavior when hearing a fire alarm. They were told they were being tested for something else and then bam, fire alarm. Very sneaky. Every single test subject died if there'd been a real fire. They just sat there looking at each other, waiting for someone else to make the first move. One woman did stand up and start gathering her things, noticed no one else was moving, and sat back down again. It's baffling. Complacency and herd instinct are incredibly strong things. Someone saying, "Hey, that doesn't sound like it's supposed to." I don't have the expertise to know every danger sound, and I don't expect others to know every danger sound. But I know how most things around me are supposed to sound, and I notice when something sounds off. And often enough, people don't care about it, or just assume that it's probably just X. It'll go away, only to get proven catastrophically wrong shortly after. Pro tip, a table saw shouldn't make a grinding noise. If you're on a frozen lake and you hear ice cracking under your feet, lay down flat on your stomach, spread your weight and crawl slowly. Do not jump, do not run, do not make any sudden movements. It may seem like a good idea to hightail out of there as fast as you can. It is not. Ice breaks faster than you can run. You'd be surprised how many people ignore ice safety. Same for safety in cold conditions as a whole. As someone who lives in the Arctic, I can tell you the absolute flippant disregard some people have for the dangers of cold. Cold kills silently. Can't believe this isn't higher, but gunshots. I live in a bad neighborhood. There are bullet holes in several of the buildings. My tiny old lady grey cat doesn't run away though. She runs towards the patio door growling her tiny lion-hearted roars. Rattlesnake rattle. I'm from the UK and had no previous experience with rattlesnakes. I visited Yosemite last September, and after parking and starting to unload my bags from the car, I heard what I thought was air escaping from my tire. I got down on my hands and knees to listen, only to be greeted by a rattlesnake curled up under the car in the next space along. I was less than a meter away from it before I turned to see it. It was quite the welcome. That weird silence right before something crashes. I'll never forget the screeching sound of the tires, then the split second of silence just before I was rear-ended so hard it knocked me out. I was stopping to wait for the person in front of me turn off the highway when in my rear view I saw a similar sized truck coming in hot. I could clearly see a dude in a cowboy hat wearing aviators looking at the construction on the opposite side of the road. I braced for impact, heard the tires squeal, then nothing for what felt like a brief eternity, long enough to think he'd managed to stop. Right before everything went black, I came to with my truck, jammed into the rear end of a Pontiac Grand Am, and a lady asking if I was okay through the roll down window. Soundgarden Black Hole Sun was still blaring from the speakers as I regained consciousness. That moment of absolute slow motion silence will live with me forever. When your mother uses all your names, big rah-rah. Not the same, but 95% of the time my wife and I call each other babe or honey, or some other pet name. Every once in a while my wife will use my first name. My first thought when that happens is always, oh god, what did I do? A baby crying in the woods or anywhere, it doesn't make sense. I was on a trail ride alone deep in the woods once and I heard crying. Freaked me right out until I remembered it was Kit season 4 foxes. I live in Mexico City. If you ever visit, you should be aware of the seismic alert. You must know what it sounds like. We have loudspeakers throughout the city that will sound around 60 seconds before the earthquake hits. People living here know not to mess around when we hear it. You could literally die if you don't take it seriously. Earthquakes have killed people in Mexico. The government recently rolled out a mobile alert as well. They both have unmistakable sounds that you will not hear unless the alert has been issued or some asshole is watching earthquake videos on YouTube. When my stomach makes a sound like it's transforming all of its content into liquid with anger and great speed. Bonus points if I'm on an airplane or driving past the last rest stop / gas station for miles. Also, when you know you are about to projectile vomit in seconds and you are trapped in a confined space with seconds to make a catastrophic decision. I apologize to that American airline flight from Dallas to LA. On a ship, the sound of the ventilation going silent. It could be the air cycling, or it could be them crashing ventilation so it doesn't spread smoke through a ship. I will wake from a dead sleep now if any air just stops. Hotels, at home. I'm in the Navy and it almost always follows with me getting ready to fight a fire. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and hit the like button.